Ellis Pinsky was 15 years old when he pulled off a $24 million crypto heist. For him, it felt like playing a video game, his favorite hobby growing up in the suburbs of New York City. One day, while trash-talking during a game, another player taunted him with, "How's the weather in Irvington?" Ellis froze. How on earth did he know where he was? He soon discovered that a free program called Wireshark could sniff out incoming network connections and identify their IP addresses. A quick Google search would then determine the approximate origin. As he told Rolling Stone, "That's when it really clicked at the age of 12 or 13. Wow, I'm this little kid, but I can really wield this power." Over the next few months, a fellow gamer named Furno mentored Ellis, teaching him how to track down information about people online. In exchange, Ellis retrieved addresses and social security numbers with no questions asked. Through Furno, Ellis learned a form of social engineering called ISP doxing. This involved impersonating IT support to trick employees into revealing confidential information linked to an IP address. As Ellis's hacking skills grew, he began to exploit them for lucrative opportunities. Furno told Ellis about the OG Users Forum, where young hackers share techniques for stealing coveted social media handles on Twitter and Instagram. These coveted handles could be sold for thousands of dollars. Ellis was so skilled that he could steal a username in minutes. None of his classmates at Irvington High had a clue he was living a double life. They saw him as this super smart kid who could help recover a forgotten password, but nothing nefarious. By then, already an experienced hacker, he taught himself how to program, focusing on techniques like SQL injections, which exploit vulnerabilities in a website's input fields, like login forms, by inserting malicious SQL code. This tricks the database into executing unintended commands, allowing hackers to retrieve unauthorized data like usernames and emails. This ability, when combined with another technique, would result in one of the greatest hacks ever. In 2016, President Obama wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal emphasizing the importance of two-factor authentication, such as sending a code to your cell phone. Hackers were trying to exploit the security measure by intercepting these codes. This was Ellis's first encounter with the concept of SIM swapping, which involved convincing employees at wireless carriers to remotely switch a SIM card from a target's phone to one controlled by the hacker. When the two-factor authentication text was sent, it would be the hacker who received it on their SIM card. Ellis would comb through social media to identify users who mentioned they worked at a carrier. He'd reach out to see if they were willing to be in on the SIM swap, bribing them with hundreds of dollars worth of Bitcoin. Eventually, Ellis claimed he had employees at every major carrier working for him. By combining his expertise in SQL injections and SIM swapping, Ellis became unstoppable. Once he had the target's email address and phone number, he'd employ SIM swapping so all text sent to the target's phone would now appear on his phone. He'd then attempt to log into the target's email account using the forgot password feature. Because of the SIM swap, the two-factor authentication code would be redirected to his phone. Using this code, Ellis could successfully reset the password and gain access to the target's email account. In 2018, a member of the OG users community going by the name Harry reached out to Ellis asking if he could hack into an AT&T phone. The target was Michael Turpin, one of the earliest influencers in the crypto world. The PR firm he founded helped launch The Motley Fool and Match.com. He also did PR work for various cryptocurrencies and preferred being paid in crypto. The more he convinced people these coins were going to skyrocket in value, the more his own holdings appreciated. On the evening of January 7, 2018, Ellis telegrammed his rogue contact at AT&T, instructing them to port Turpin's SIM card to the phone of an online acquaintance, ensuring the hack couldn't be traced back to him. They successfully reset Turpin's email password and gained access to his account. Then they ran a script to scan Turpin's emails for references to keys to digital wallets where coins were stored. Initially, they found nothing and were about to give up when Ellis started searching for other email accounts belonging to Turpin and reset the passwords for those. An Outlook account caught a file called Keys. Ellis recounted to Rolling Stone, "At that point, it was like, holy shit. We open that file and see that there's just a bunch of keys to various wallets. They had struck gold, but had to act quickly before Turpin noticed he was locked out of his emails. It didn't take him long to realize something was wrong when Google notified him that his Gmail password had been changed. He quickly tried to cancel his cell phone number with AT&T, but alleges they failed to promptly cancel his account. Ellis noticed a wallet holding Ethereum worth $900 million, but it required an additional password he couldn't find. Turpin denied holding anywhere near that amount. Ellis tried another wallet from a company called Counterparty and managed to unlock it using a 12-word seed phrase. Inside were around 3 million coins of a currency called triggers, worth over $7 per coin. Ellis quickly did the math and realized he was looking at around 24 million. This was the largest SIM swapping hack pulled off by an individual, and it would have been the perfect heist had it not been for one of Ellis's greedy acquaintances. Ellis had no choice but to involve others in the plan to launder the coins due to the daily transaction limits placed on crypto exchanges. He needed to quickly convert triggers into Bitcoin on the cryptocurrency exchange Binance. So he posted on Twitter asking if anyone had a Binance account and rounded up about half a dozen people. He sent triggers coins to their accounts, got them to exchange them for Bitcoin, and then diverted the Bitcoin into an account he and Harry controlled. He gave them a cut of $20,000 to $50,000 for their help. However, one of the acquaintances got greedy. Ellis sent a Twitter user Erupts $500,000, which went off without a hitch. Then he sent $1 million, which was also meant to be exchanged for Bitcoin, but Erupts kept the money, admitting in court, "At some point, I revoked Ellis's continued access to the account and kept for myself the additional money he had deposited." After the missing million and splitting the spoils with Harry, minus the transaction fees and factoring in the volatility of crypto, Ellis says he was left with 562 Bitcoins worth around $10 million at the time. He splurged on a $50,000 Patek Philippe watch, took out $100,000 in cash, which he kept under his bed in a $40 safe from Amazon, and took a private jet on a trip back from Chicago with his mom. Other than those purchases, life was fairly normal. It was back to soccer classes after school and flipping Yeezy sneakers online. Then one day he received a message from Erupts, the hacker who stole $1 million from him. Erupts' real name was Nick Trulia, a 20-year-old living in Manhattan. Nick wanted to meet Ellis in person. Why would he agree to meet? Ellis couldn't accuse Nick of the theft because the complexity of cryptocurrency transactions made it difficult to prove. They met at Grand Central Station and then hung out at Nick's luxurious $6,000 a month apartment before partying in the VIP section of a club. Ellis actually wasn't having the time of his life. He felt unsettled by it all, and maybe his intuition was right, because law enforcement was onto Nick, thanks to the assistance of one of Nick's friends. Nick had been interested in booking private jets and befriended a private jet broker named Chris David. Chris noticed Nick didn't appear to have a job, yet managed to fund a lavish lifestyle. Nick confessed to Chris that he funded his lifestyle by stealing crypto. He boasted about his theft publicly, tweeting 6 times that he stole $24 million. Chris said Nick likened himself to Robin Hood, who robs from the rich but did not give to the poor. Nick confessed that he stole millions through SIM swapping, which intrigued and horrified Chris, who had never heard of such a thing. He saw Nick trying to SIM swap at an AT&T store in Times Square and secretly snapped this photo, which was later used as evidence in Michael Turpin's legal case against Nick. On November 14, 2018, a regional high-tech task force arrested Nick at his apartment over another SIM swapping heist. While searching Nick's iCloud backup file, they also found evidence he'd been involved in Michael Turpin's missing $24 million. On the same date Turpin lost his crypto, Nick had sent this message to a friend: "I'm a millionaire. I'm not kidding. I have 100 Bitcoin." Michael Turpin sued for $71.4 million, 3 times the stolen amount. Turpin felt the hacking constituted organized crime under the RICO Act, which allows victims to recover triple the damage. It wasn't long before the dots were connected from Nick to Ellis, as many online acquaintances knew they were in contact. On December 3, 2018, Ellis's mom received an email from Turpin's lawyer accusing her son of being the mastermind behind the $24 million heist. Ellis's mom panicked and hired her son a lawyer. Ellis voluntarily returned all of his 562 Bitcoins, the $50,000 Patek Philippe watch, and the $100,000 in cash hidden under his bed. However, by this time, the $10 million worth of Bitcoin had depreciated to less than $2 million. Ellis's final year of high school was marked by notoriety as his exploits made the news. Weeks before graduation, 4 masked men tried to rob his family's home in search of the money. Hacking was no longer like one of the video games he grew up playing. When he watched a video of Turpin recalling what happened and how calculated the hacking was, he began to feel remorse, telling Rolling Stone, "It added a human element to what was, back then, this completely online thing for me. I feel like shame is not the most useful feeling, but I have accountability. Certainly, I don't feel good about what I've done." Despite Turpin's desire for criminal charges, Ellis was never arrested or charged. Turpin believes this was because Ellis was underage, and the authorities didn't know how to handle the situation. Ellis ended up going to NYU, where he majored in computer science and philosophy and graduated in May 2024. As for what he's up to now, Ellis told me he started a software development company helping entrepreneurs turn their ideas into apps and software. He also said he's interested in working in the cyber protection domain, ironically using his skills to defend against the hacks he once perpetrated.
If you need to inquire in English, please press 8.
And speaking of cybersecurity, don't you hate it when you receive spam calls and text messages? And that's not just annoying, it means that your personal information is out there being exploited. I recently received an email from Ticketmaster stating that my information, including my encrypted credit card number and expiration date, had been potentially hacked. This data is being exploited by cybercriminals for spam calls, identity theft, taking out loans in your name, or using your credit card. But there's an easy way to ensure your information doesn't end up on the dark web, and it's free for you to try out. Aura alerts me when my data has been leaked. When you register for Aura, you'll see how many data brokers, companies that collect and sell your personal information, have access to your data. Aura removes your information from data brokers on your behalf, preventing them from selling it to third parties. You also get features like credit monitoring, identity theft insurance, a password manager, antivirus protection, and a VPN, all in one affordable app. Plus, Aura is free for you to try out for 2 weeks by signing up with my custom link in the description, aura.com/newsthink. That's aura.com/newsthink to see whether your information is out there today. Thanks for watching. For Newsthink, I'm Cindy Pom.